Greetings! Welcome to another edition of Faulkner Fixes All. Today, we've got more Schwinn reproduction Springer issues. If you've seen my first video on this subject, there's a lot of issues because the Springers are really cheap and they're not made like they were in the old days. Okay, so this is a buddy of mine's bike. He brought it over. My buddy Scott. He's a pretty good bike mechanic. And he's really into the old school mountain bikes, you know, the stuff before caliper brakes and stuff like that. Stuff like you rode down a mountain and your hub caught on fire. Yeah, good stuff like that. The good old days. So, yeah, don't ask me how I know about hubs catching on fire. It's really fun. Anyway, so we're going to get into this. And this is I'm guessing this is about a 37 to 36, 35 maybe even a 40. I know it's not a 1946 because in 46 they adopted the kickstand that was built in. This is not a 46, but they adopted this style of kickstand that was built onto the frame. This one, as you see, does not have it. This is probably an autocycle or a Schwinn motorbike, or a Schwinn DX, something in the 30s to early 40s, definitely pre-war, because it has these little adjusters here, which are also messed up on this bike. There's a few other issues I'm going to fix, but today we're going to dive into this Springer front end because, you know, you guys really need to know about this, and I'm learning stuff every day about these, and it's good to have a real Schwinn Springer when you can get one, but this is what we got, and this is what we're going to deal with. So, as you can see, got the old dial indicator here, because we're pretty scientific here. So yeah, this has got a lot of play up in here. We're going to move it back and forth. That's almost 30 thousandths of play. And what's happening is, this is not a Schwinn race. This is not a Schwinn bearing cup. And that's not a Schwinn bearing cup. But this one's actually moving around pretty bad. And probably the cone that's pressed onto this is probably not Schwinn either. Now, if I have the parts to fix this, if I have some Schwinn races that'll go in here without damaging the frame, I will use them. Otherwise, we're going to have to probably machine something. Anyway, so that's a lot of play. You can see it moving right here if you look very closely. Let's see if I can get you in there. You see the race moving on the frame? And that's a lot of play. Okay, so let's dive into this. We got stuff to do, son. Let's get rid of this. Yeah, we don't need this fancy gauge to tell you that there's a lot of play here. You just use your eyeballs. Anyway, so let's get you in here. And the first thing we're going to do is make sure we can get this bolt off. Because we have the handlebars still kind of tight. Okay, we can get that off. That's good. And we'll check on my buddy's mechanical skills because we'll see how much threads he's got left on this. Because a common mistake is to cut this T part off without measuring how much threads are here. But I bet you he did pretty good because he's an old school mountain biker. He kind of knows what he's doing. And these bearing cones might even have been tight when he first pumped them in. But since they're not Schwinn and a few jumps later, you know, they get loose. So let's see how he did here. Looks like there's plenty of threads. We'll take this stem out of our way. Sorry about the lighting today. It's not a very bright day. And it's cold outside. And I'm not really going to open these doors. Brass hammer. Okay. There we go. And it comes right out. Put this off to the side. Oh, look at that. Yeah, he's got threads there. Yeah. Look at that. Yeah, good for you, Scott. Not cutting this off too short. Good man. We'll put that to the side. Okay, tell you what. Let's take this wheel off real quick. We probably should have done this already. Okay, we're getting it. Now, I did test ride this bike just a few moments after he dropped it off. I was just curious as to what was going on with it, and it dived pretty hard to the right. I mean, the left, I think. It dived one way to the other, and we can fix that. There is a way to fix that, and I'll show you when we get this apart. And what happens is, at the factory, the non-Schwinn cheapy Springer factory, these are just pressed, and they're not matched to each other. So one will be a little more of an outward bend than the other one, and then when you put the Springer together and you ride it, it goes right or left, whichever one is more bent. And we'll try to fix that later, but today is just an exploratory thing. And we're going to get into this bearing issue. And right now, we're going to use an actual wrench to fix this. And we're going to take off this setup here. Looks like he's got some nylocks in here too, which is good. He may have put those in. I don't think those usually come with the kit. So kudos for him for using some nylocks. And as with all non-Schwinn Springers reproductions, there is no bolt on the back of this. It just threads into here. That was an issue too. Okay, let's get you in here. All right, good. Save these parts. Brass hammer or bronze. Let's get this one out. Okay, a couple minutes in, and we haven't done anything yet. Okay. Okay. It's good to have a little grease on this bolt. Looks like there was some Loctite on there too, some blue Loctite. Yeah, you know, this is not a bike that was just thrown together. This was a bike that someone actually kind of knows what they're doing. But as with Schwinn Springers, they're very hard to deal with, and even an experienced bike mechanic will end up with some kind of play like this, which is not acceptable. This is what's throwing it off. This play right here, this bearing holder should not be loose in the frame like that. Now, let's check it out. Let's take it apart. Oh, look at that. Wow, he's got the original dust cap on there. Yeah, this is old school. This is probably early 40s or late 30s. Definitely an old Schwinn. You can tell by the fillet welding. Nice bike. I could probably tell exactly what year it is by scraping on the bottom of the bottom bracket, by scraping some paint underneath here and looking at the number. But it's not my bike, and I'm not going to go scraping and grinding on somebody's bike to tell them what year it is. That's not what we do here. And Faulkner fixes all. We just fix it. I'm guessing on the year. Okay, so if we got some Schwinn parts, we'll pound them in and we'll make this right. I'm not going to get to all the problems on this bike today, but maybe this will help somebody in the future. Alright, so that should not just come out like that. Sorry. Alright. So... oh, look, this is all worn. Oh, I see what the problem is. Oh, look at that, yeah. Wow. The bottom race either broke and fell out. Something happened. Anyway, it's missing the bottom race. Okay, so it's missing the bottom race, and these are not Schwinn. So, first thing we're going to do is, yeah, I think we're going to pound in some races first. Then we're going to address this sharp edge here and try to put a race on there. I think the race broke off because there is not a race on there. And that's most of the problem with that That's probably 15 thousandths play right there. All right, so let's put this aside. And these races should not just pop out like this. So we're going to clean this out a little bit. And we're going to go over to my little parts area. And we're going to look for some Schwinn races. So let's do that right now. Actually, let's get the calipers. Yeah, it's always good to kind of see what you got going on here. You know, because we're scientific around here. You know, we got dial indicators and calipers and stuff. You know, this is state-of-the-art mangling bikes. Alright, so we'll zero this out, put it on inches. Alright, let's see what we got here. That one looks like 1.292 inches. This is pretty close to. This will be the same tube anyway. Okay, 1.296. All right, let's go over to my little parts area. Notice I have the heater on today. Smart move. Okay. All right, so let's go down here. Okay, I kind of dug around my little pile here, and I found some Schwinn stuff. You know.